Hello again. Here is a video showing off my battle against the Deacons of the Dead. First of all, as I have the Ember kindled, or humanity stored, or whatever they call it, I summon a Phantomir. And because this is recorded after the fact, there was actually another summon sign that I didn't use, but again, this will be my first time fighting this boss, so I'm not really sure what to expect. So, entering there's the Deacons of the Deep, sorry, said dead there. So at first I'm sitting here thinking, how does this fight work? I see a bunch of different enemies. They all seem to be very similar, like mage types. So I start off by thinking maybe I'll try some crowd control. It'll take me a few moments to understand the sort of gist of this boss fight. So you'll see me kind of futz around. You see that they mainly throw fireballs at you, which can be easily dodged, but you also have to make sure that you don't get hit by any of the additional ones. In the background there, you'll see that some of them, one in particular, will have this red glow around them. That is the main gimmick of this boss fight. As you can see currently, this boss is losing no health whatsoever. So the way this works is the enemy that is covered or sort of has the red fumes coming off of them, they are the host for the boss, and you have to kill that enemy to do damage to the boss. You cannot simply damage them to get any health off. You have to fully kill them, see, and then the spirit of the boss shifts to someone else, and you basically have to play this back and forth game of finding the host and trying to do this sort of crowd control. The phantoms are very helpful in this regard because they will sort of keep a lot of the phantoms busy. But yeah, it's odd how sometimes it picks out the host, because this guy, for example, he's almost completely separated, and then sometimes it will also jump bodies if you're not fast enough. So it's, again, for the first attempt at this boss, there was a lot of learning points here. This part of the fight is going to be very long and sort of drawn out, so in the meantime, I will discuss my build for this game. So for Dark Souls 3, it was the first time that I went with the deprived character class rather than starting out with predefined. Previously, I chose the Knight or Knight equivalent in Dark Souls 2, because generally having more health just seemed like the safer option. But for Dark Souls 3, I went with a deprived, and finding out that Dark Souls 3 doesn't really have equipment reinforcing means that I've been figuring out what is the best equipment for me to have at a given time. But it encourages playing around with different equipment more often than not, which in some ways could be viewed as a good thing. So as you can see here, there are moments where the congregation will sort of gather together and they will summon these giant shadow spells that do a lot of damage. You can dodge out of it, but generally, yeah, you just want to be very careful of that. So now, the boss around half health, it transitions to having one main host for the deacon. It is the sort of minister at the helm of this whole thing. But the problem is, he has a lot of meat shields. Like this gathering of people will almost always circle around him, making it difficult for you to try and get in there and do any damage. Now that my Phantom has passed away, the only person that they focus on is myself. So I try to get in there, find an angle to attack the main host, and avoid the crowd of, well, monks or zombies or whatever they are. In general, I seem to be doing pretty well, and I was actually sitting and waiting to find out what would be the tricky part of this boss. So until then, again, I keep trying to strike and make sure that I can hit the main host. Keep dodging around a little bit. Sometimes noticing additional spells going off, but thinking that if I just keep my distance, I can stay away. Now, one thing that did pop up here was getting stuck in between a lot of these enemies. So you have to be careful of your footing. You have to try and be quick to reach the boss. Here I thought that they were summoning just another big shadow ball, which they did, and I'm going to go in and try to get another hit at this boss. Got some good damage off there. Boss is almost dead, so two more sort of rushes like that will kill him. But this is where I make a very big mistake. So you see that there is a giant orb that is summoned around the boss. Here I couldn't get a good angle in, so I just heal up, but I'm out of Estus now. And this part, at first I thought that it wasn't very difficult and all they were doing was summoning the shadow balls. And you'll see in a moment why this is actually a much scarier part of the boss fight. So, trying to reach the main host again, to hit him. Try to rush him down, but I can't kill him. So, I back away, and you'll see that now the congregation is sort of summoning up this next shadow ball. And here is where I find out one of the biggest issues with this boss, and one of the things that you need to be very mindful of. So when the arena goes dark, you actually have to attack this boss. Because if you don't, and you let them complete their summon in its entirety, they continue cursing you. This is something that I didn't actually notice. I should have kept an eye on the center bar above the boss's health. Basically, they are channeling a curse on you, and if you let them finish you off, you die. In fairness, if you're mindful and you keep an eye on it, it's not that bad. But again, as I wasn't that mindful and I was more scared of the mob itself, they got me cursed. This time, I summon up both of the phantoms. So instead of just Horus, I also get Henri. And the key idea for this time around is being very aggressive, getting my hits in as much as possible. Like, the thing I do not want to happen is for that curse bar to fill up. And again, because I'm not sure that I can interrupt the boss when they're sort of channeling up the curse, my philosophy this time around, on my second attempt, you'll see it. It's generally much faster because I know how to trigger the attacks and how to damage the boss. But also you will see that I am much more cavalier about attacking the boss and getting damage in. Because in theory, these small mobs, they don't actually do that much damage aside from fireballs, which if you have fire absorption as well, can help greatly. So the key thing is just piling the damage on and trying to rush this battle. So unlike with a lot of the battles in this game, this one is very much a do this fast to win mentality. So here I retrieve my souls. I see that the phantoms are dealing with most of these enemies, and sometimes they will actually kill the host as well, which is nice, but generally always rely on yourself to be the main damage dealer, and for them to kind of just tank damage, or at least keep the mobs off of you. And the great benefit of having these phantoms is, again, because they're keeping these mobs off of you, you have just a much easier time trying to find the host and beating the ever-loving crap out of them. So as mentioned here, I just start focusing a lot more on damage. I try to make sure that I don't take too much to die, but overall, again, I'm just going in raw and just trying to beat this boss as much as possible. You can see they're already trying to summon the giant shadows, which it seems are getting interrupted when I attack them. So I've got the boss back down to the very low amounts that he was at before, but because my health is in a good situation and I've still got the phantoms covering for me, I'm just going in. And once you beat the boss, that's it. Everyone dies. So that is the Deacon of the Deep.